You know, it really pains me to make this video, but we have to talk about the New Orleans Pelicans. The Pelicans were my scariest team coming into the season, and I felt like their success was really contingent on the health of one Zion Williamson. My fault for thinking that Zion Williamson could stay healthy. To start the season, everything was going great for this Pelicans team. Even with Brandon Ingram going down with injury, Zion Williamson, CJ McCollum, and everybody else on the team were playing efficient basketball. This team peaked as the #1 seed in the Western Conference and had legitimate title hopes. And everyone knew once Brandon Ingram got back from injury, they were going to get even scarier. Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson were their two All-Stars. You had TJ McCollum, who was a fringe All-Star. You had young guys in Trey Murphy and Herb Jones, who took leaps in their games. You had Larry Nance, Jonas Valanciunas, man, down in the middle. And off the bench, you had guys like Jose Alvarado and Najee Marshall. Dyson Daniels was their 8th overall pick, and he was giving them some good minutes. The month of December was near flawless for this team. They were a top 3 scoring offense in the NBA. They were passing well. They were playing elite level defense. I mean, everything was just coming to fruition for this team. And then the new year rolled around, and everything went downhill. Zion Williamson suffered yet another lower leg injury. Brandon Ingram was still out with injury, and TJ McCollum was in and out of the lineup, and things got real murky for this Pelicans team. In the month of January, they did a complete 180. They won just 3 games during this month. Offensively, this team was abysmal, and defensively, it wasn't much better. And I mean, it makes sense because you're losing your best player in Zion Williamson. Zion Williamson was a 26 point per game scorer this year. He was grabbing 7 rebounds, and he was dishing out nearly 5 assists a game. His defense had improved, his playmaking had improved. He was very efficient from the field and knocking down some 3-pointers. He was getting to the line a lot and shot a career high 71.4% from the free throw line. Zion was looking back and better than ever. He was playing superstar level basketball, but unfortunately, the basketball guys just don't rock with Zion Williamson. I mean, his play was so good that in just 29 games played, he was named an all-star starter. And now, things get even worse for Zion Williamson and the Pelicans. Ramping up his recovery and having his eyes set on returning post-all-star break, Zion Williamson suffered yet another setback. This time it's a hamstring injury, and now sources say that there is no timetable for his return. I mean, there's questions on if Zion Williamson will even be back for the Pelicans at all this season. And once again, you have to have the injury talks because this is very concerning. Zion Williamson is a beefy guy. Okay, beefy might be a weird term to use, but either way, standing at 6'6", 284 pounds and jumping as high as he's able to, people just aren't supposed to do that. The lower leg injuries are just piling up, and at 22 years old, there are real concerns about his career moving forward. I talked earlier about Herb Jones and Trey Murphy and the leaps they were able to make this year, but there's still some room for improvement. Talking about Trey Murphy first, he's nearly tripled his scoring average this year. He's the prototypical 3-and-D player that you want in the NBA today, and he's shown an ability to put the ball on the deck and go get a bucket of his own. These improvements are big time for a player of his caliber, but I would like to see him improve in the rebounding aspect. Because I'm gonna be honest, there's no way someone who's 6'9", averaging 30 minutes a game is only grabbing 3.7 rebounds a game. I would also like to see him improve his playmaking abilities because getting better in that area will only make him more lethal. And then we look at Herb Jones, who's a defensive mastermind. Similar to Trey Murphy, he's 6'8" and only grabs 3.8 rebounds per game, which I'd like to see him improve that number. And offensively, it can be pretty concerning at times. Herb Jones shoots just 28% from 3, and if you're shooting that bad, it doesn't matter how good of a defender you are, you're going to get played off the court in the playoffs. Improving his 3-point shot will go a long way for his progression on this team, obviously. We just got to see if he can do it. The 3-point area is a big concern in general for this team. On the year, this team is 19th in the NBA in 3-point shooting. They take just 33-point shots a game, which is the second lowest in NBA, and they're only making about 10 of them, which is about 7th worst in NBA. With how offenses are ran nowadays and how much the 3-point shot is needed, I just don't know if they're going to find much success shooting this bad from 3. And outside of that, another cause for concern is Jonas Valanciunas in general. I truly believe they should have moved on from him this past offseason. It's not the offense that's a problem, it's definitely the defense. The Pelicans will simply just get pick and rolled to death in the playoffs and he'll just get played off the court. He doesn't provide anything at all on that side of the ball, and they should really look to start maybe a Larry Nance Jr. alongside Zion Williamson, adding more versatility and defensive pedigree to that unit. But it isn't all bad for the Pelicans. Brandon Ingram is back from injury, and after knocking off that rust, he's looking like a superstar level player. Over the last 5 games, the Pelicans are 4-1. Brandon Ingram is averaging over 30 points a game. He's dishing out nearly 6 assists per game, and he's shooting efficient from the field. You have Brandon Ingram playing this well, and hopefully once Zion Williamson comes back, you can just plop him into the starting lineup, and the two can gel and mesh, and hopefully lead the Pelicans to a strong late season push. But what do I want to see out of the Pelicans? What changes do I think they need to make to really make some noise come playoff time? Well, for one, like I stated earlier, I feel like Larry Nance Jr. should start. To me, their starting lineup should be what you see on the screen right now. This is the perfect balance of playmaking, shooting, defense, and versatility. And having Jonas Valanciunas be the de facto 6-man, feasting against backup bigs, might be what's best for his career. And having Jonas off the bench, I would like to see Dyson Daniels get more opportunities. He has serious playmaking chops that I feel like aren't being displayed at its best ability. And you have Dyson Daniels play alongside Josh Richardson, who's a pretty good shooter. You have Herb Jones play alongside Josh Richardson, who's a pretty good shooter. You take some of Jose Alvarado's minutes away, you take some of Najee Marshall's minutes away, and I feel like you're cooking with some real gas. This team is just 30-28, sitting as a 7th seed in the Western Conference and are just 2 games back of the 11th seed. Luckily for the Pelicans, they have the easiest remaining schedule in the NBA, so as long as they stay healthy, I think they're going to make the playoffs. And having this easy of a schedule is going to be really great for them because they can now ease Zion back in, and there's not a need to play him in some crucial games as you look to make that final playoff push. But things are easier said than done. We have to see how the Pelicans play going into the All-Star break as they have one more game against the Lakers. Going into the second half of the season hot is going to be really key for them. They're going to be huge buyers in the buyout market. And if Zion Williamson comes back and plays the way he played earlier in the season, and Brandon Ingram's playing the way he's playing, and TJ McCollum can keep cooking, whichever team they face in the first round is going to have some tough problems.